Hey, we're gonna do something a little different today. We did a little bit of coyote hunting. You can call it that. It was pretty foggy this morning, so it was a pretty tough hunt. I did happen to see one. Unfortunately, I was glassing the field when I saw it, and by the time I got out, drove around, got out, came back in, tried to sneak in on him. I saw his rear end going into the woods, and that's all I saw. So we didn't have much of a crack at him. It's pretty much noon right now, so hunting is pretty much over for the day for me anyways. So what I'd like to do is just kind of talk about what I use. Maybe anybody that's interested in starting off coyote hunting, maybe I can help you out a little bit. First off, I'd like to talk about where do you coyote hunt. There's two particular types of areas that I like. A big open field with intermittent trees like this back here. It's got a lot of small pine trees back here, and what that does is it helps me when I'm set up and I'm calling. If the coyotes come out, they're behind trees every once in a while, so it gives you time to get on them and you get a shot at them. In this particular field, it also butts up against a very, very large swamp back here, and there's a lot of coyotes around here. I actually deer hunt here, bow hunt. So I know there's quite a few coyotes and wolves, so you got to kind of be careful. You can't shoot a wolf unless you got a permit, but coyotes are fair game. What I do is I set up behind me here, off to the north, and the coyotes come out of the swamp over here, and they come across this field to the call, and I get them on top of this ridge right here, and it's about, about 275 or 175 yards out that I usually get shots. And it's a real nice setup. As long as the wind's blowing in the correct direction, which is a northwest wind or a north wind for that matter, works out real good. The other areas that I love to hunt are highlines. As long as they're running through public land, they'll go on for miles and miles and miles and miles. And what's nice about those is that you can set up either on one end or you can set up on the other end. If the wind's, you want the wind blowing in your face, obviously. I'll set up on the first section. Get out of my truck, get my stuff, get my gear. I'll get up on high ground, I'll overlook. It's usually a mile sections before the next road. So it's a really neat situation. I go a few hundred yards off the road. Hopefully I can get on a vantage point high. I set up against either a power pole or a tree or whatever, wherever I can get the best vantage point. And I'll call for about half an hour. I'll sit for another 15 minutes, nothing happens, I'm out of there. Bring all my stuff out, jump in a truck, I drive all the way around to the next mile. I'll set up again, same way, high ground, overlooking the whole length of the power lines. And they're probably about 100 yards wide, give or take, maybe 70 yards wide. Anything that comes out, I got a shot at. So I can do this all morning long, just basically leapfrog from mile to mile to mile to mile. As long as it stays on public land, I'm good to go. So those are my two favorite types of areas. Something that borders up against a swamp, and the other areas where I can hunt for miles and cover it with one guy. The other thing is a call. What kind of call do we use? Man, there's so many calls out there. My particular favorite that I have is an Alpha Primos call. It's electronic. We're allowed to use them for coyote hunting. This particular one has a lot of different calls that are integrated into it, and I can download more from the internet depending on what I'm doing, what I need it for, and what style of hunting I'm doing. This has locator calls in it, for coyote. It has rabbit, squealing, mice, different bird calls, and you can go into other areas of the menu that has deer sounds, cougar sounds, whatever you're hunting, it pretty much has. And then if it doesn't, you can plug her in, and for a fee, I haven't done it yet, but for a fee I know you can download more sounds to this. So it's really neat. It's compact, it's got its legs, it's got different speakers on here, and it's crystal clear. I can amp this up to 100 on this thing. Crystal clear. I love it. It's awesome. So that's the call that I use. There's mouth calls, manual calls. I'm not very good at that. So I like electronic calls. Camouflage, head to toe. You got to be in head to toe. And just because it's winter time doesn't mean you got to be in all white. Underneath here, I got a full wardrobe of my bow hunting gear. Green, dark green, browns. Sometimes, like right now, the snow is melting. if I'm going to set up against a big stump or a big tree, it doesn't have any snow on it, so now you just look like a big white blob. You stand out. So I'll take my white off and I'll use what I got on underneath, which is my darker camel. If I set up against something that is white, a big bank or something like that, there's a stump over here that actually has a bunch of snow on it. If I set up against that, I'm good to go in my white. So just make sure what your background is. If you're dark, go with dark. If you're white, go with white. Very simple. Binocs, very important binocs. I'm going to stress this. Very important. Safety, 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 safety. These guns that we use here, you know, they're set up to shoot 400, 500, 600 yards, 700 yards. Whether we can do it or not, that's different, but the guns are set up that they can do it. So when we see something way off, edge of the woods, walking inside the edge of the woods, whatever, whether we're deer hunting, coyote hunting, turkey hunting, whatever, please do not use your scope. I'll stress that again. Do not use your scope. Make sure what it is that you're shooting at, that you're looking at, that you want to shoot at. That's why binoculars, that's why we have these. You know, they're cheap, inexpensive to very expensive, depending on what you want. But you see something moving, verify what it is first. Is it a deer? Is it a turkey? Is it a coyote? It could be another hunter. We're not the only ones out here hunting. I'm not the only one. I know that. I got a lot of tracks out here on the road. Other people driving through here. It could be another coyote hunter just walking to a spot. That being said, hunter orange. There's no problem wearing hunter orange into a spot for coyote hunting. It doesn't affect anything. Usually the coyotes aren't sitting there walking around in the fields where we're going to be right away anyways. So it is actually illegal not to have hunter orange on right now. I just took mine off a second ago. But hunter orange vest, hunter orange hat, safety comes first. Even if they don't require it, safety first. Now, other than that is the last thing I'd like to talk about real quick is something to sit on. Well, that's not very important, right? Yeah, it is. It's pretty important, especially, again, warm weather like we're having right now. The snow is packy. That means it's melting and it's wet. And if I'm going to hunt all morning, I'm going to get a wet butt. And I don't like a wet butt. So what I got here, it's pretty cool. I just picked this up. It's for sitting on the ground. I'm going to use this thing for turkey hunting this year, or this next year. Well, it is 2013, so I'm going to use it for this year. It folds up real nice. And carry it. It's nice and light. Has supports on it. Side supports on it. You can see straps. This will protect your butt from getting soaking wet. This will protect your back so you're comfortable. You're only sitting about 45 minutes or so, but I might as well be comfortable and not get wet. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for coyote hunting. The only other thing I can think of is guns, and that's a preference point. You know, what do you like to use, and what are you going to do with the coyote afterwards? Are you going to sell the pelts? Are you collecting pelts or whatever? The smaller the bullet hole, obviously the easier is the patch. What I use here is a Model 12 Savage. It's .243 caliber. I bought this particular gun because I want to use it also for deer hunting, and a .243 is plenty for deer. But for coyotes, it's a 58 grain Hornady bullet. Zips out real fast, and when it hits them, it kills them. So this has got a bull barrel on it, varmint barrel. I got tripod on here, adjustable tripods. So when I'm sitting, I can either bring my gun up or lower it down, whatever position I'm sitting in. Makes for a nice rock solid, sturdy shot. I got a rubber strap, and the reason why I have a rubber strap is because when I got it over my shoulder, it doesn't move. No matter what I do with it, it doesn't move. It stays right there. It won't come off no matter what I do. It's rubber. So I love that when I'm walking a long distance. In fact, I carry this strap on just about all my guns and even my bow. I have one set up for that. Other than that, the scope. You need a very good quality scope. This is a Zeiss 4.5 by 14. It's got the reticles on it that I can shoot out to just about 800 yards, just short 800 yards. That's designed for. I've shot out to 457 yards actually with this particular gun. Group's awesome. It's clear as a bell. It's awesome, awesome scope. They are expensive, but they do make lesser expensive scopes out there that can do the same thing. So anyways, that's in a nutshell. My gun, my camel, and places I like to hunt. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. And if you got any questions, go ahead and give me a holler. I'd be more than happy to answer them.